Bluejay Chat. I'm your host, Nathan Meyer. Alongside me, as always, Dr. John Sample. And again, we have Gerald Beyer, Curriculum Director here at Merrill Area Public Schools.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining again, guys. And John, we'll start with you. What's going on? We had the board meeting last night again.
We had a 40-minute board meeting last night, and while that's a record time for a board meeting, especially a monthly board meeting where we don't have committee as a whole, that really is attributed to the fact that we're very efficient with our committees. There are very few, if any, surprises that take place at the board because everything's already gone through the committee level. As you know, for each one of our cabinet positions and every one of our departments, we have a committee attached to that. And so there's an awful lot of committee work being done. That's got board representation. And so the way the design is planned is we take things to the committee, we hash things out there, and we get a committee recommendation that goes to the board for a final vote. And so very efficient board meeting last night. We started off with recognition. This time we started, the person recognized was our own Adam Smith. He secured a scholarship. And so, you know, just because it's summertime doesn't mean that work discontinues. We're doing a lot of good things right now. That kind of rolled into some of the things that Gerald Beyer's doing with curriculum. So he had some purchases in order to gear up for the new school year. And I'll let Gerald talk a little bit about what he's got in store for this next year as far as the curriculum department.
Yeah, and normally the purchases over $10,000, they come from the business department, get approved by the board. It's kind of it's a requirement. I did pool the ones from the curriculum office together. I thought it would be wise to do so, just so the board has an idea of what types of resources that we have. So the purchases that went to the board were items for either for professional development or for resources. The professional development money, that's federal money. It's grant money. And so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about each one of those. With the curriculum purchases, it's not like the days of old where it's a textbook. Back in the day, that's generally what it would be, and textbooks got pricier and pricier. Because we're a one-to-one district and we use the iPads K-12, most of our resources now have an electronic component or are digital completely. And it's not, we've also streamlined the process for the purchases too. We have instructional coaches at the elementary level. So if someone, if we find a resource that we're interested in, we have a digital form that's completed with plenty of questions, and we do research on it, and it has to get approved by a building principal and instructional coaches before it gets to my office, and then we'll look at it with the technology department to make sure it's something that we can work with. And that has a single sign-on, so it makes it easier for the kids too. They don't have to do passwords each and every time. So last night, just to give you some samples, there are some products called No Red Ink, which works with grammar for students in the English language arts area. Dreambox is a program that we just started with last year. That's more of a math program to assist the teachers. It does not take over for effective instruction. Okay, but when the teacher is working with a small group or one-to-one time, the digital resources help pick up and give students options and teachers options for what they can work on for independent practice time. With the professional development, we're bringing in some great trainers again. The professional development of staff is extremely important. So we're bringing in for our Readers and Writers Workshop the Teachers College out of Columbia University. It's a lot more it's a lot more feasible for us to bring the trainers here than for us to send our people to where the trainers are. Now, although we do have a lot of staff who would love to go to New York City, we did choose to bring 3 trainers in this year, and they're coming in October, I believe, and they are the premier training for Readers Writers Workshop. We also are working with the Wisconsin Math Institute this year, and that's a math training organization in the state. So it's the first time we're bringing them in. Again, they have conferences a lot, and we can send people out, but we can get to more people and do it a lot more economically intelligent by bringing them in. So we get everybody getting the same training, so there's some consistency. So some of the purchases last night were for those 2 organizations, and also as administrators with our administrative organization. It's the Association of Wisconsin School Administrators. They're bringing in we're going to a professional learning community training. Some of us have had that before, but we've had a lot of turnover, as you know, in administration over the last few years. We have a full team back this year. We're excited about that. So we're going to get some training with that. It's just in Stevens Point. And albeit to get everyone trained is more than 10,000, we can recoup up to 75% of that money if we complete the course. So again, there's great value in it, and it's with a wonderful organization. And thankfully, last night the board, approved everything that we had requested, and we're going to keep moving ahead.
Perfect. And development of our staff is obviously a major deal, because if our staff's developed completely well, John, then the kids are just going to benefit even more from that.
Sure, that lends itself to student achievement. So two of our areas of focus this next year, we're putting a lot of emphasis on behavior, professional behavior, and that's through professionalism. And then we're also going to talk a lot about professional development. And so with that, we've even got a conference coming up. I have a legal conference coming up next week. It's important for all superintendents to stay up on all the legal issues. And so that's when the attorneys all come together. They're all in one place. We use them as our resources legally. And then the following week, we're taking the last of our administrators who have not been to our Studer Leadership Conference. We're going to Milwaukee, and we're going to learn a lot more about leadership to make sure we're all on the same page. Studer guides our district scorecard, and that's the way that we measure the effectiveness of how we're doing as an organization, as a district. And so that encompasses, finances, the personnel, student achievement. And so that's another exciting thing too. Not only are we going to go to the conference to start to roll out the scorecard for next year and what our goals are going to be and learn those strategies, but then coming up on August 8th and 9th, Studer's going to come here and work with our board and our administrators as to what we want those goals to be. And every trip requires a roadmap and a final destination. That's what the scorecard does for us. And then Studer's also going to provide myself as superintendent with the board training regarding policy governance and communication and effective leadership. And so we've got a lot of really good things coming up, and as an organization, we highly value professional development because our students win in the end.
Yeah.
Right.
I could just add a couple things too, that like the legal conference he speaks of, it's hard to describe, like what our roles are, but with Dr. Sample's job, a lot of what he does is solve problems and make sure other problems are solved the right way. And when he goes to the legal training, they go through scenarios and situations that have been vetted, or they've gone to court and they've made decisions to help leaders like Dr. Sample make the right decisions continuously. So when you go to something like that, you learn from others, because the last thing we'd ever want to do is misstep on an important decision from something happening in a teacher situation, kid situation, or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. So can I go back? So we have the curriculum director here, right?
We do.
I think he kind of helps make the classes be what they are and sets the standards for all of our students.
Yeah.
What's coming for 2018, 2019 that parents and students should be aware of?
Well, every year we do have to get the standards that we are using approved by the board. That happened last night as well. And we're using the Wisconsin academic standards. And also a next generation science standards now too are a part of that. And this year there's a lot of shifting and there's a lot of professional development. So let's start with the shift. I know at two of the schools, at Jefferson and at Kate Goodrich, they're doing something similar to what we did at the middle school 12 years ago. 12 years ago, with 24 core teachers, every single one of them worked at a different grade with a different team with a different subject. It was at least one of the three. Most had 2 out of the 3 changes. And at those 2 schools, roughly 75% of the core staff are in a different grade next year. And that's healthy for a school to go to do that. We have some people who've been teaching the same grade for 20 years and they're great at it, but it's good for their professional development for them to do a shift to see what it's like for students before they come into the grade and after that grade. So they'll be more well-rounded that way. So that's significant. The other significant point has to do with our professional development too. We're entrusting staff that the professional development is important to them. We've kind of given them a la carte menu of professional development of different items that they can attend. And generally speaking, these are, again, paid for from the Title II grant from the federal government. But as an example, this summer, I believe the last number I saw was 49 different staff members going to some professional development over the summer that I'm aware of right now. As an example, some will be at a CISA office preparing for the reading and writing jump starts. So there'll be a 1 or 2 day training, just getting them primed up and make sure their first units are ready to rock and roll.
Okay, I hear, not to cut you off, I hear so often CISA 9 and CISA.
Yeah, what is that?
What is that? Because even I am not understanding
I'll be happy
of
to
that.
help. In Wisconsin, there are regional organizations or agencies called Cooperative Education Service Agency. And if you picture Wisconsin, they're divided into 12 different regions.
Right.
So our region is CISA 9 in Tomahawk, and that organization then we can purchase days of professional development, and we do have some days purchased from them because they have some trainers. I would love to say I know everything, but heaven help me, I don't. So we have trainers who come in for the Readers and Writers Workshop training next year. 16 out of our 20 days will be used for that. They help with the data retreat. They also help with, like last year, with the teacher license changes. They help us with that. I'm in charge of the Effective Educator program, keeping track of all the evaluations. They help assist us. So my position, from people who have my position in all the neighboring schools, we'll all come together at CISA 9 in Tomahawk and work with them on different items. And some smaller school districts too, if they need a speech and language person, they may not need a full-time speech and language person, so sometimes CISA 9 will hire a speech and language person and market or farm the people out where they work for 3 different districts or whatever it may be. So it's a way to help districts.
Okay.
And they're funded by districts. So.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Anything else new coming to the curriculum at all that the kids should be aware of? I know we got the Fab Lab. We've been talking about the Fab Lab since the beginning of Bluejay Chat, haven't we, John?
Absolutely. We're very excited about the Fab Lab. Because of the referendum, we're able to make enhancements for our technical education from elementary, middle, and high school. So we sat down, all of us sat down, everybody involved, and met our new Fab Lab director. His name is Joshua Zalewski. He comes to us with just an enormous amount of experience. He's already been successfully passed 2 Fab Lab grants. He's built a Fab Lab in the past. He's learned from the mistakes from building that first Fab Lab. We're going to benefit by that. He sits on the Technical Education UW Stout board, and UW Stout leads all UWs as far as the statewide. So we were able to sit down with him. We collectively decided our vision, which is the easy part, and then those things still yet to be determined are the equipment and the enhancements we're going to do to the physical structure of the Fab Lab. Very exciting meeting. Also, for the first time ever, we're going to have a meet and greet, and we're going to invite area manufacturers and businesses, anybody related to STEAM or science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Anybody in the community that's related to those areas that could benefit by having our students come in and be employed by them someday, or what can they lend to our students to ensure that they're going to receive the problem-solving skills and the critical thinking skills. We're going to have that meet and greet. It's going to be over lunch. We're providing lunch at Merrill High School on August 2nd. The invitations are going to go out today, I believe. And so we want area businesses to have a voice. We need to understand what they're doing. So our Fab Lab director is going to be taking tours and making very close professional relationships with each one of our area businesses so that we understand what we need to do to prepare our students should they choose a career at that particular business.
Okay. And it's an important topic because I do believe the connection with the community was a large part of why we passed the referendum. So it's imperative for us to follow through and do what we said we were going to do. And with Mr. Zalewski, Josh is wonderful with his experience. The first thing he said is he wanted to go out and meet businesses. And we're going to keep working with what we did at the high school last year with that flex period, bringing in businesses, giving them an opportunity to meet kids. They had a great finish to the year last year with the job fair. I know there were students who were hired from the job fair right here at the high school. So the Fab Lab's important, and it's going to be in very good hands. It's just going to take a little time now to make sure that we understand what the businesses need for equipment, make sure that, and hopefully that'll match with what our aspirations are as well. We have to look at costs then, want to make sure we're making the right decisions with the purchases and create what we need to create to help students.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So with this Fab Lab, it's a class now, or is it kind of just kids come in like during their flex period or their study halls, basically?
It's going to be a class.
Okay.
The first semester, the fall semester, is going to be a little bit lighter. As we generate student interest, it's going to become a little bit heavier as far as more classes offered second semester. Right now, the role of Fab Lab director is going to be to make sure we make some very thoughtful purchases. We don't go out and fill it with equipment because we have the money from the referendum. We need to make sure that that equipment goes within our curriculum, within what we want our students to know. And so it really is a hurry up and wait. As much as we'd love to see everything happening now, if we're going even in a slight wrong direction, we haven't done the students any favor. So yes, we're going to generate excitement in the fall, and we're going to start moving in the spring, and then the following year, we're going to be fully functioning.
All right.
Students are going to see the choices in the handbook. A lot of those decisions are going to be based on what the tech ed department feels is important, as well as what the student interest is.
All right, so Gerald, here's a question for you. Since you're the curriculum director, what would be the curriculum for that Fab Lab, and how many credits would it be worth to these students?
Well, a semester class is half a credit. Yeah, okay, that's generally
Yep.
how it works. And right now, the whole fabrication lab is in the technology education department, which is an elective credit right now. The board did approve last year raising the graduation requirements. Forgive me for not remembering the exact numbers right now, which did, it will require kids to take a few more credits. I think up like 1.5, 2 credits.
I
if
think it was
recall.
like 23
Yeah.
credits, if I remember correctly.
And with that too, the intent then is to expose them to items and areas they may have an interest but may not even know the interest. A big push at the high school and middle school is the academic and career planning, because speaking from the parent perspective, it's extremely important that your sons and daughters know what they want to do or have an idea of what they want to do. And that's part of the responsibility of the district, is to help the student explore different areas. So they do career cruising, they do career interest surveys, they try to, and then in the counseling department here at the high school, they try to match up career interests with course offerings at the high school. And part of the advancement in the technology education department is we've added courses in that area. We've added coding courses at the high school as well, more technology related courses, because that's the need of the community, and that's a lot of the interests of the kids.
I know the one last question I have on the Fab Lab. I know students from this class, the media productions class, get to take it over and over and over again and still get the credit each semester. That's something that the Fab Lab students are also going to get, so that way you get more kids who can help the teacher teach the students how to run some of this equipment and how to solve more problems.
Yeah, they'll be building it up. Right now, it's a smaller group. I just want to give you a comparison, I guess. In Antigo, a similar sized school, they have 5 tech ed teachers is what they had last year for their population. In Merrill, we had 3. Now this year we'll have 3 plus a Fab Lab director. I guess it's kind of the if you build it they will come mentality in some regard. Some could look at it that way, but we know the interest is there in the community. We believe the interest is there as kids with the student population, and we expect those numbers to increase and give students plenty of opportunities to be not only in the Fab Lab but be in other courses in that general area as well. They just updated the electronics course as well, and that's another one I think kids would be very interested in. One of our instructors is very well versed in the electronics, and just revamped the the coursework and the materials for that.
Well, and even the home build, our students now enrolled for the fall
Yeah.
semester has tripled, almost quadrupled.
Yeah.
And so now we're back on pace to build one home per year rather than taking 2 years to build that home. And so that solves a lot of problems, and one of the issues that has already been resolved is we know where that home's gonna go. It doesn't need to sit out there until it's sold. So it's not a matter of how quickly can we build a home, but taking the students through the process and doing one home a year is going to be much more beneficial than having it take 2 years with a whole totally different class.
Right, exactly. I remember watching that get built in 2 years and went, boy, when I was a student, that was built in 1 year.
Yeah.
But
But it was by design. I thought the same thing, but there weren't the numbers with the students in the class. So,
Right.
And it was designed with the organization that was worked with when it needed to be done. So they were meticulous with it.
Right, and the other thing I think that was nice too, though, was they built a half of the house with the first year, and then they built the second half the second year. So
Yeah.
the kids got the whole experience
Yeah.
Yep.
of it. So
Yes.
it's not like, hey, this class did this part of it, this class did this part, and they didn't get the other experiences.
Right.
They got the whole experience just building a half of a house. So. So the Fab Lab, they will be able to take that over and over and over again, still get the credit?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful design, John. It really is.
It is, and that department is going to collaborate and reach out to other departments in the high school too, because it really is a collaboration. And so there's no reason why you can't have 5 or 6 different departments working on whether it be an end product or a service. It's the process of coming together, working with others. Those are the skills we want our students to have.
Well, hey, they can come work with us anytime. I've got a few projects for them.
Yep, and I know that you would welcome them.
We've talked about a new desk here, haven't we?
Yes, we have. They can start with building us a new desk.
I was thinking a tiny house for you, maybe a tiny house.
Maybe. That might be nice. All right, so another thing that they might be able to actually help out with a little bit, helping make that Jay Stadium look even nicer than it already is, don't you think? But it's coming along pretty nicely right now.
It's coming along nicely. The building that the community sees going up right now is the new concession stands and our restroom facility. And then that plaza is going to be extended out. And so, you know, where the main entrance was kind of off to the side. Well, that's because we had the final phase still left to be built. And so it should be ready in time for our first home football game. And again, it's a real source of pride for everybody. The community built it. It just happens to be on our grounds. That's the way I like to promote it. And so, you know, I go out there and every day something else is being done, and I can't wait to see the finished product.
Yeah. Dr. Sample was out there mowing the field just the other day, and
Yeah.
it'll be nice so when that old building is gone too, because that's going to open it up behind the main bleachers so much, because right now it's pretty compact in there. So we're looking forward to it. That'll look just fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to mow artificial turf?
Well, and I have to wait till after the turf dries because Beyer had a sprinkler out there, and so he was trying to grow the turf.
That'd be why. First home game, if I remember correctly, would be when would that be? August 18th, I want to say.
I don't
August
have that
17th?
information.
August 18th
Yeah,
is our first home game.
August 18th.
August 18th.
It's going to be something out there.
Yeah, it really will be. And I think that we'll have an opportunity to color commentate a game or two.
Yeah,
won't
we did that last year for homecoming, and it was well received by my media colleagues out there. They very much liked us doing that, and I think, hey, we can do more of that. So.
Good.
You know the Monday Night Football crew, they used to have 2 color commentators. You recall that, Dr. Sample?
I do. I remember, yeah, the days of Howard Cosell
Yeah.
and Dandy Don.
That is
and
correct.
Frank Gifford. That's absolutely right. So we may be putting an ad out. I can't think of anybody right now that would be interested in doing that. So we'll interview for that.
We'll have to interview for that.
We'll scrutinize. For
Maybe Tony Romo can come in and teach us a few things.
that. Yes, he's a Wisconsin boy.
He's a Wisconsin boy. And speaking of him, he picked the Packers to win the Super Bowl this year. Did you hear about that?
I think that's the first time in Tony Romo's Dallas Cowboy life that he's been correct, and so I'll side with Tony. I'll go with him on that.
You'll side with him, Gerald?
No, I'm not going to, just because everyone else is. I have a brother-in-law who's a Viking fan. He's probably my closest friend, dear brother-in-law, And he is a Viking fan through and through. And I have watched that man suffer for years and all the heartbreak, all the losses that they've had. They had a joyful moment last year when they made it to the championship game in the NFC and then lost again. So this year, for my brother-in-law Rod, I'm going to say the Minnesota Vikings.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
I'm going to say, boy, I'm torn right now. I really am. I love my Packers, and they made some good off-season moves.
They always do.
I mean,
Jimmy Graham in the red zone with Devontae Adams is going to be a tough matchups for people, both of them.
Well, then they got those 2 new cornerbacks, that Iowa kid that they picked up in the second round. I can't remember his name right now, but I know he picked off 3 interceptions in 2 games for touchdowns last year. One of them was against us, Wisconsin. But he's a talented kid, and
He's an athlete.
and he's coming to Green Bay.
Now the Badgers, they're going to be rolling this year.
The Badgers will be rolling this year. But then I'm also torn between Jacksonville. I picked them last year to almost go to the Super Bowl, and they almost did. 1 play away.
They were 1 play away.
And they just added talent. They didn't even lose talent.
I'm going to predict that the Cleveland Browns will have a better season this year than they did last year.
I'm hoping so, because I'm going to predict Cleveland has a better season than Cincinnati does.
Ooh.
I hate to say that because my cousins are Cincinnati fans. They live in Cincinnati, but I'm going to have to say that. That'd be my bold prediction.
Yeah. Okay. You heard it here.
I think they need to update their helmets in Cleveland. I
Yeah.
think that's part of the problem.
It might be part of the problem. But I'm gonna say Jacksonville wins the Super Bowl this year.
Okay.
Going Jaguars.
I'm-
You just like saying that word Jaguar.
I just say Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, Minnesota, and Green Bay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
there we go.
I wouldn't mind if the Super Bowl is Green Bay versus Jacksonville.
That would be nice.
That could be a show stealer.
What are you going to do then?
My heart's gonna say Green Bay.
You have to say Green Bay.
My heart's gonna say Green Bay, so I'm gonna go Green Bay if that happens. But I think Jacksonville has the easiest road to, because the only other 2 teams that could be ranked above them would be New England and Pittsburgh. Well, Pittsburgh they beat twice last year.
Yeah.
New England, well, they were 1 play away from being New England. New England only got worse this offseason, so.
Good. And that's always a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Well, Tom Brady's going to play until he's 71, I heard.
I heard he's going to break every record and then some.
Yeah.
He's going to break Jerry Rice's receiving records. Oh, no, wait, he didn't catch that pass in the Super Bowl. Never mind.
No.
All right, so anything else, John, that we could think of, or?
No, I think that's it. The only thing I can think of is with the physical improvements that we're making throughout the district too. We noticed the sign in front of the middle school.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic. We also received a safety grant to the tune of $108,000. We were one of the districts in the state that applied for and received that grant. And so there's going to be some upgrades to our barriers, what we call our barriers, our entrances at each one of our buildings, not only through the procedures by which we allow the community to engage with our buildings, but also some shatter-resistant film is going to go on the windows. We're going to make sure that we have enough security cameras for any of those hidden spots, those blind spots. And so Dale Bergman's been working very hard all the way from passing that grant and receiving the grant to making those enhancements, and those are happening this summer as well. So not only are our students going to come back and see some shiny floors and everything is nice and clean, but we're going to be enhancing our entryways and providing barriers. We learned a lot from the tragic events in the past, and so that's where our money is going to go. But that's the reactive portion of student safety. We also are going to continue through Karen Baker's efforts to reach out and have counseling available to our students. That's our goal, is to have an outside agency in our buildings as long as our students are there, and that's in every building. Therapy dog, to be more trauma sensitive with our approaches to our students. And so there's a lot of really, really good things going on. Education and student achievement is only second to student safety. And so we've got a lot of things going on that are going to make this a great, great place for our students, as always.
You can let Dale know.
Just to clarify too, the digital sign at the middle school, it's the first digital sign in the district that was paid for via donations. They also had taken out a few of the trees because there were some safety concerns with that. And the granite boulders were also donations to the school district as well. So I know they just placed those as well. And that's a great location too, just for promoting the middle school and the school district with that digital sign. It's
And the
fantastic.
students stepped up too. The students did a lot of fundraising and
That's
put
what I had
monies
heard,
towards
yeah.
that. Yeah. So there were no district dollars spent for that sign, and everything that you see out there, that was the donations from our community and our students' efforts with their fundraising. They saw it as a priority for their building, and it looks great. I drove past there again this morning, and it looks fantastic.
And it kind of accentuates too that little prairie, the little garden they built at the middle school under the direction of Mrs. Kurth a few years ago. It's kind of boomed up a little bit, and you can focus on that then too near the building, which is really neat to see.
Fantastic. Just improvements all around, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's no really, we're not degrading anything anywhere, are we?
No, there's no place like Merrill.
No place like Merrill. Nothing else then, huh? That we can
Nothing
think
else.
of off the top of our heads?
No, just we're moving. This is the time of summer when we kind of start looking forward to that first week of school, because things can slow down a little bit. So we're just busy, and we're looking forward to bringing our newest Blue Jays in. They come in for the week prior to everybody else, and we do some training and orient them to our district. And so we're real anxious. We had a very, very deep talent pool this year. We had some retirements as well, but we're moving, and Merrill is really, the reputation of Merrill precedes itself, and so we're able to get very talented recruits as new teachers coming in. We've got a lot of teachers that are coming in with many years of experience as well. So that hasn't always been the case. Hiring now is a much better procedure and process than it has been in the past.
Right, and I mean, just in general, I mean, we've got so many things that are coming up. Start of school is what, September 4th?
Yes, September 4th this year. It's the latest that we can start in September because of Labor Day.
Right.
So September 4th is our first day of school.
And then we have, I know we have football, tennis, and swimming coming up in the middle of August there.
Soccer
Our fall
too.
sports start up, soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize for forgetting about soccer. I haven't seen that on my calendar quite yet, so I've seen tennis and swimming, but I haven't seen soccer yet on my calendar, so I apologize to the soccer. It's not, no other reason than that. I promise. We ready to head out then, John, or?
I think we're good. I usually have one question for our guests, and so this question
Here we go.
for Mr. Beyer, you,
Bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, Dr. Sample.
your wife, 4 beautiful children. Fill in the blanks for me. If I could be a tree, I would be a blank because of blank.
If I could be
A tree.
a tree, what kind of tree would I be and why?
Sure. And the scientific name of that tree, if you can think of it.
Really, John, I love you, man. John, it's a wonderful question I'm going to ponder on. And the next time I'm on the show, I will get back to you.
Okay. So there we have it.
There we have it. He's gonna come back.
I'll fill in the blanks in the meantime.
All right. We'll get those blanks filled in, and you'll have to let the rest of the administration know this is what's going to end up happening now, huh?
Oh, absolutely. It's just to fill in the blank.
Yeah, just to fill in the
We're
blanks.
lifelong learners, and so we've taken many tests in our educational careers, and so sometimes it'll be open-ended, but I think filling in the blank is easy for most people. Yeah.
No more Baba Booey, though.
No more Baba Booey. That's gone.
All right. So I think that wraps it up for today, John.
That does. We've covered a lot of stuff from the board meeting last night, and there's a lot of great things going on in the future. So I'm looking forward to next month, and we'll bring you more topics, more exciting news.
Yeah, and there's stuff we didn't even get to cover.
No.
I mean, so just time. Time's a fickle thing, huh?
Time is money.
Time is money. And let's go back to making some money. So for Dr. John Sample, for Gerald Beyer, I've been Nathan Meyer. Thanks for watching Bluejay Chat. Have a nice day.